Hey, it's Reese from Reese Teaches Programming, and this is the solution video for the assignment at the end of our DevOps and testing course. I strongly encourage you to have done the project first, at least attempt it, before you watch this video. Being able to kind of muddle through and learn while breaking things is a big part of programming and just how to be a better programmer. And so by jumping ahead to the spoilers, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. But if you are really stuck, or maybe you killed it and you're like, I got my API done and I think I killed it, I'm just going to walk you through a solution of mine that I wrote based on the initial requirements. Now remember, you do not have to have written yours in .NET. That's just my language of choice. You did not have to stick to making it a temperature conversion API. That was just like the template I gave you if you were kind of just stuck and you didn't know what to do. So I'm going to walk you through. First, we're going to look at the program CS and make sure we understand all of the pieces here. So looking at our main method, all these items that are set up for our web application, I have 3 endpoints defined in here. So one is under convert, Celsius to Fahrenheit. You can see I'm passing some values in there for that calculation. And then convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, that calculation in there. If you're not familiar with how temperature conversion works, Celsius to Fahrenheit, that's Celsius multiplied by 9 divided by 5, and then you add 32. Fahrenheit to Celsius, that's Fahrenheit minus 32 degrees multiplied by 5 over 9. Then I have my smoke test endpoint for health. And so the rest of this is the template code that you get when you start a .NET API project. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward. We have some endpoints. If you decided to implement more endpoints so that you would have more things that you wanted to play with your testing, by all means, I'm glad that you stretched yourself. If you just set up a few, also proud of you. That's so great. I love it. All right, so let's look at the tests and walk through the test class. So I have set up using the MVC testing library from our NuGet package. I have my 2 variables that we talked about in our original setup video that connect to our program, as well as that HTTP client that we need for connecting as a client to the items on our web server. And then the initialization step here where those objects are instantiated and set up. And then the first test I have here you can see is categorized as a smoke test, calls that health endpoint, gets a result, and then just gets, hey, are you equal? So moving along, we can look at the unit test setup. So I'm doing the Celsius to Fahrenheit, calling the Celsius to Fahrenheit endpoint, passing a value, getting that response and checking the response, and then likewise the other way, Fahrenheit to Celsius. Same thing, call the endpoint, pass a value. I used 100 and 212 because 100 Fahrenheit is 212, 100 Celsius is 212 Fahrenheit, and then vice versa. So we can check those values, and then my integration tests look pretty much the same because remember, we're just kind of fudging the integration tests. I don't have multiple components here to test. But it gets us a little more practice calling those endpoints and checking those values. And then my performance test, we have that stopwatch. We start it. I'm calling, converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, stopping it, and checking. So in my test explorer, we can see all of my tests have passed locally. No issues there. And then in my .NET YAML file, I have my smoke test, and then my unit tests, and then my integration tests and my performance tests. So when this is checked into GitHub and it's triggered on the branch, then all of my tests will run, and I can also see it in the actions pane. So again, how did you do? Were you able to walk through this? Were you able to set up these different tests? Do you have a better idea of what these tests are about? And what did you struggle with? Because solving problems as software developers really is the job, right? Software is kind of a byproduct sometimes of all of the effort that we put in. I get that it is the goal, but we always have a lot of challenges that we have to overcome, and learning to solve those problems really doesn't come from a textbook, and it doesn't come from watching videos. It comes from doing and failing, and then you learn and you remember, and then the next time you do better. So I am, again, so grateful for you sticking it out, getting through this course, working on this project, and hopefully you feel like you've learned a ton as well. So I would love to hear any comments, feedback, questions. If you are looking at my sample and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what she's doing, throw me a question. Happy to help. Hopefully I'll see you again in a future course or another video. You can watch me on YouTube. I do a lot of live coding on Twitch, so maybe you'll follow me and we'll talk again in the future. Thanks so much.